Yo, what's up? This is the press release. I'm your host, Allen Robinson, Pro Bowl wide receiver, Allen Robinson. Here with my co-host, Super Bowl champion, Prince Amukamara. Man, what's good?
What is good, man? What
It
is
was a good
good?
weekend for you, huh?
Oh my gosh, was it? Was it? You know that I imagine that emoji with the green money sign tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted
Hey,
to
so
do that.
I'll kind of fill in the audience a little bit. So, Prince, he was actually featured. Who featured you?
Fanatic Sportsbook.
Fanatic Sportsbook. So Prince had a list of prop bets that he hit. Could you fill in the audience a little bit with just kind of you know what you played, what you hit for? Well, you don't got to tell them what you hit for, but what you bet. Just kind of how that whole little play came up for you. Like I said before, man, you had a very lucrative weekend in sports.
Yeah, no, like so everybody always makes fun of me because I play. They call them lottery tickets, and that's what I call them too. So I'll do like $1 to win 100 racks, or like $5 to win 10,000, or whatever. But in this case, it was $18 to win about 11,000. And so I'll put a different couple. I'll put a different couple of cards in there, and it's a mixture of prop bets, money lines, spreads, and sports. So this one I had tennis in there. I had a tennis pick. I had some college money lines, and I had some NFL props, some half times. I mixed it all up, and some scary games. I had Texas on there. I think was a close one. I had Alabama on there. Was a close one, and then I had But my last night it came down to the Chiefs game, and I always make it to where it's spread out during day. So I have some Saturday games, a Friday game, Sunday game, and then a Monday game. And so the Monday game was the Chiefs versus the Commanders. And so I had a money line bet for the Chiefs, and then I had Travis Kelsey 25 plus yards. And so with my research, I'm thinking, you know how it is, A Rob, if you're close to getting a record, or if you want to keep a streak going or something like that, I feel like you're in the quarterback's ear, you're talking to him, the quarterback knows, all right, we're gonna draw up plays for you. So that 25 plus yards was, to me, was easy, and I was excited for it. And they gave me some payouts. Like on Monday, I could have took 5,000 and stuff like that, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write it out.
Were your palms itching as it was getting closer
Well, the
to
thing
the
was,
games because you also had Kansas City Chiefs had to win
yeah, they
to
did.
put the cherry on top of this. So, did you have any thoughts about cashing out at any point in time?
So I'm thinking, when it was at 5,000 on Monday, before the game started, it was at 5,000, and I'm thinking like, man, and I'm talking to my wife, and that's the last thing you want to do, because take the money, take the money. It's like, chill, fall back. And our anniversary was the next day, so she's probably thinking she's gonna get some Jimmy Choo, whatever she want. I don't know if Jimmy Choo's is what's it.
You bought Jimmy Choo, Prince?
No.
All right. Listen, I was just checking. You know what I'm saying? But
But
continue.
so and then when the game started, Travis had nothing, and it went down to like 3,800. Commanders was moving the ball. Commanders scored. And I'm just chilling, because with that type of bet, it could come down to the fourth quarter. Travis Kelsey gets a 30-yard touchdown to win the game. Boom, everything hits. And so I'm essentially betting on a Mahomes to beat a backup quarterback in Marcus Mariota, which he did a great job. But yeah, after Travis Kelsey got like 40 yards, I was like, all right, that's done. And now I just need the Chiefs to just go crazy, and they did. And it's Monday night, man. It was a prime ticket to win, and I'm glad it happened, because I've tried so many tickets. You got to think about it. To hit 25 of those legs, bro, it's really a lottery pick. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, you may have should have played the Mega Millions. Maybe. I mean, because listen, I mean, sounds like the luck was on your side, but
Yeah.
now let's dig into NFL a little bit. As we know, next week of the NFL season will be the trade deadline. As we saw even now this past week, we saw Kyle Duggar get traded from New England to the Steelers. We saw a couple cornerbacks get traded here
Yep, Jets to the Eagles.
recently. Jets and Eagles, also the Rams and Tennessee Titans did a deal. Have you ever been traded in your career, Prince?
No, no,
So for
I'm
me
thankful.
personally, I was a part of a trade. It was in the off season, but man, when you get traded,
Yeah, how does it go?
man, everything moves so fast because the team, they're not up against the clock, especially not in the off season, but they are up against the clock a little bit as far as getting the physical and making the trade be official and getting things solidified.
Does
So as
Shefty
soon as
really know before you or your agent? Like,
nah, nah, listen,
okay,
listen, 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 man, listen. You feel me? Like I was in the I was in the driver's seat a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
good.
I had all the information and I had the play by play. You know, but I will say this though. When it actually did go down, because I heard the rumblings, you know, so as I was getting information, I knew that something was possible, but I actually got pulled out of meetings
Oh,
when the trade went down. We had just started OTAs, so I got pulled out of meetings, but it was pretty quick, man. I want to say I got traded maybe at 9 a.m. West Coast time, and my flight was at like 12:30. And I say that to say because I was rushing, scrambling, man. I just was packing. I just packed a quick bag. I think I lost my passport that day. I was on the move, man. It was such a hustle
you
and
lost
bustle.
your passport?
Yeah, I lost my passport in the process, but it was such a fast process, and even for me, I didn't even go back to LA after that. You know, I had
Oh
people help
wow.
me move and different things like that. So I didn't have to go to LA, but I can only imagine being traded in the season, man. Things move so quickly. You got to learn a new system. You're trying to find out where you're gonna live. A lot of guys are living out of a hotel for the remainder of the season. I mean, to guys who have young kids and families, you have to find out where they're gonna go to school. Are they
Right.
gonna stay back? So it's a lot of moving parts. You know, sometimes we just see the bells and whistles of trades as far as who was acquired and who got who. You know, but at the end of the day, man, families and stuff moving around can be tough. But I'm very curious to see because we get into this time of year where you have teams who are getting ready and trying to contend, and then you also have teams who are getting ready for next year.
Right.
So when we get to the trade deadline, it's always funny and interesting for me to see just kind of where teams are at in that process, you know. So I mean, I'm expecting things to heat up a little bit. You know, next week when we shoot, we'll probably be having, you know, some information maybe come in as we're shooting as far as trades, because this week did pick up a little bit. Players like Jacoby Meyer is a name that I've been hearing a lot. Trey Hendrickson with the Cincinnati Bengals is another name. So there are still some big names. Another big name that came about, not so much so for a trade standpoint, but Miles Garrett, man, he had a
Hmm.
record-setting day, five
Five
sacks,
sacks.
but lost.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough, man. It's tough. We talk about it all the time, man. You always want to play well, but you know, losing is very tough, especially when you have those games like that. Obviously, he signed a big contract this past offseason, so I don't think it's really gonna be. I don't think we'll hear his name at all when it comes to just possibly being moved. But I mean, him on a team like that, man. You know, I would like to see a player like that play on a good team and contend, and not just have to
Why,
kind of.
dude? Aaron, not everybody can't win Super
I
Bowls,
agree,
man.
but I'll say this though: not everybody can win Super Bowls, but I do think that players have the opportunity and now have the leverage more so than ever to be able to put themselves in a situation to where they're possibly contending for one.
Okay.
Whether if that may be contractually waiting a little bit, that may be contractually asking to be traded. I mean, this past offseason, we did see Miles Garrett demand a trade.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he got paid.
He did get paid, but he also demanded a trade for those reasons. And at the end of the day, you know, granted he's fresh into a contract, so him being moved probably won't happen just based on the duration of his contract. And speaking of contracts, another pass rusher that got silly paid was Aiden Hutchinson
Oh yes, yes.
recently just got a deal in new money. I want to say it was about 45 million a year. Shout out to Aiden. Man, he's had a phenomenal start to his
Yeah,
career, a phenomenal start to this season. And it's funny because I bring that up because a lot of people speak in terms of the salary cap and things like that. But when you look at the Detroit Lions, man, they're figuring out ways to pay their
they
guys
do. Yeah, and to keep them.
and to keep them. A lot of
Yeah,
homegrown guys that are paid. Their quarterback is paid. Amon-Ra St. Brown is paid. Jamison Williamson is paid. Kirby Joseph is paid. Now Aiden Hutchinson is paid. So, and I think they're gonna keep a little bit of money in the stash because they got some more big names coming up in Jahmyr Gibbs and Brian Branch, Sam Laporta. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But moving on to, we kind of spoke a little bit earlier in the show to what this part of the season kind of means for the middle third. When I say the middle third, meaning you have the bottom tier teams like we spoke to when we first started our podcast. We spoke to teams that aren't really contending, your teams who are kind of somewhat in the middle, and then also your teams who are contenders. You have the middle third, and right now is where they really start to separate.
separate
Is there
themselves.
any
Yep.
surprises for you that are surprises in moving in the right direction, but also surprises in moving in the wrong direction?
Um, I think the Chiefs was one of those teams where I don't think a lot of people were worried because we knew all they needed to do was get healthy, and now I mean now they're looking scary. Now they're looking they go from the bottom of their division to now they're at the top. Another team that's also trending down was the Chargers. I mean
Yeah.
I believe they had a win last week.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and so I mean that's good, and the team that's starting to get in there, it might be a hard journey for them, but it's the Ravens. They're playing Thursday night. They get a great win with against the Bears, and now they got the Dolphins Thursday night. So I wouldn't be surprised, and you get Lamar back, and
Yep.
that's interesting. You Lamar, honestly, if we us players, if you could play Thursday, you could have played Sunday. You know what I'm saying? There's,
I'll say this. I'll
but
say
but
this.
I'm saying I'm saying that it's smart. They're like, okay, let's try to get this win with Tyler. Boom. Okay, we're in the win now. You're able to rest because you don't want someone coming off injury to play back to back Sunday then Thursday.
Exactly, because it's such a short turnaround, So
Yeah.
I think once you kind of get into the minds of some of the trainers and the training staff, when you start looking at days, somebody coming off of a hamstring injury, 2 games in 4 days, they would be on the higher side of possibly that injury reoccurring. But
Mm.
a team that came to mind for me was the Commanders.
Mm.
They're a team that last year they made it deep into the playoffs, signed Terry McLaurin to his extension, added Debo Samuel, traded for some other pieces, I believe Laramie Tunzel, and now they've been banged up all year. That's a team that's
Right.
very surprising when, as far as a team that we expected to be more so at the top of the NFC, rather than they're in a very similar situation to the Ravens. I would maybe even say right now in maybe a worse situation. Terry McLaurin came off an injury and now he re-injured his quad. He'll be out this
Yeah.
week. And to kind of skip forward a little bit to all the listeners, those are things as far as you guys, Prince just hit. And like you said before, he did his homework on the picks, injuries, and stuff like that. So but Terry McLaurin is out again this week. So it's tough, man. They haven't been able to build much chemistry. Obviously, he missed a ton of training camp with the holdout. Now he's been injured a lot during this season. So I really think that the Commanders, man, they have an uphill battle, same as the Ravens, but the Ravens won one last week.
Yep.
They have a lot of divisional games ahead of them, which I think benefits them with the healthy Lamar Jackson. So if they can finish strong here, I think that they can contend for that last spot or a wild card spot in the AFC, if not the division, because that division is somewhat wide open. I mean, the Steelers have somewhat of a controlling lead in that division. They also have a big game coming up, which we'll kind of speak to towards the end of the show. But
But
let's get to some.
and let me piggyback on that though.
Yeah,
When you look at these teams struggling, it starts with the quarterback, unfortunately. And
I
you either
agree.
see a struggling quarterback or a quarterback that's not present, meaning that's not that's injured for whatever reason. Ravens, Miami, Cardinals. I mean, the list, the Commanders. The list goes on, and that's the common denominator.
And I mean, it's a saying in the league. It's a quarterback-driven league.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody speaks to that. The Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep.
They're another
Yes.
team. They're without Joe
Yes.
Burrow, and you can just see the struggles that they're having. Obviously, they have Joe Flacco who could kind of help mend it a little bit, but obviously they're struggling as well. But let's move on to some game balls. We have four this week. First up, Eagles versus your G-men, the Giants.
Come on, man.
Saquon. Listen, Saquon
Yes.
Barkley.
Yes,
He
we did.
finally got it going.
Yes.
It was an emphasis on the run game.
Yeah.
Uh, since the beginning of the season, and just kind of how and when would the Eagles be able to jumpstart that run game and get it going, and they did last week. And you saw just how potent and how dangerous they were. Also, their backup running back as well, Bigsby. He got got over 100 yards as well. So as far as them just being able to move the ball in the run game, Saquon Barkley gets a game ball. We have another running back on the list, Colts versus the Tennessee Titans. Jonathan Taylor continuing
He's
to
been
do his
showing up.
thing.
Yeah, he's been showing up a
He
lot.
he's been showing up, man. And I'm a tee up the conversation now, but we're gonna get to it a little bit later in the show. But last year we saw what Saquon Barkley did, and he didn't win MVP. And we're seeing Jonathan Taylor. So it I want you to just think about this a little bit now, and we're going to get into the running back and MVP conversation, and if the MVP is just a quarterback driven award. But moving on, uh, this this person actually, I was kind of shocked, man. They've taken a lot of heat all season. Game ball, man. Dolphins versus the Falcons. Tua Tagovailoa. He came
Good
in
for
with the
him.
he came in with the swollen eye, looking like Martin, like he had just got into a boxing match with Tommy Hearns. Came in that game, man. He spun it though, man. Threw some touchdowns, man. The Dolphins upset the Falcons. The Dolphins play well. Obviously, we heard Coach McDaniel just speak to when they had an embarrassing showing the week before that you always want to bounce back. But I mean the Falcons here, man, they've been on quite the roller coaster when it comes to how up and down they've been all season, man. I mean, they've beat teams like the Buffalo Bills, but then they've lost to teams like the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, we
30.
know
No,
that's a divisional game.
it's a goose egg though. 30.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they lost to the Miami Dolphins. We saw Michael Penix Jr. He was out. Kirk Cousins played. We spoke earlier in the show about the trade deadline. Kirk Cousins is a person that, it was in the news this week that he wants a starting opportunity. And a lot of people frowned upon that based on how he performed last week, but he's looking to have a starting opportunity. But where do the Falcons go from here? And I say that because early in the year, I thought that maybe they could gain some traction on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as far as contending for the division. But right now, I feel like they're contending with the Carolina Panthers in that division as far as for the second or third spot. With all that talent on the roster, where do the Atlanta Falcons go from here?
I mean, they should start being a team looking to trade off some guys.
To sell.
Yeah, to sell
Wow.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you look at teams that are really not making a play towards the playoffs, and um, their organization probably isn't going the way that they want to. That consistency isn't there. So, like, I mean, I know I haven't heard Bijan's name uh, come up, or Drake London,
I mean, listen,
or Pitts.
I don't think Bijan Robinson, I think he would be considered untouchable.
Yeah,
I would
I agree
consider
with that.
Drake London to probably be in the same category. When you have young players like that you draft in the first round, it takes so much to trade from those guys to trade for those guys just because they're so young as
Right.
well. So I will be very surprised to see any of those guys be moved. But with so much talent on that roster, man, I'm very curious to see the direction that they go in because again, I thought that they would be contending at the top of that
Yeah.
division, if not definitely more so in the driver's seat of a wild card position if Tampa Bay would go on to win the division, but they just seem to still be trying to find their identity. Very inconsistent. Like I said before, beat a team like the Buffalo Bills, but then lose to the Miami Dolphins, a team that's been struggling the entire season. So I'm very curious to see the direction that the Atlanta Falcons go in for the rest
Yeah.
of the season. They
I
get
mean,
Michael Penix back.
they're 3-4. They got the Patriots this week. They got Colts after that. Then the Panthers come and see them. Then Saints. Then Jets. Then Seahawks. Then Bucks. Then Cardinals. Then Rams. Then Saints. I mean, I could see them splitting that schedule. I mean, but 8-9 doesn't do it.
Eight
Nine
and
and
nine doesn't do it.
Yeah,
And,
nine
and
and
what
eight.
makes it tough is again when you lose some of these games that you're supposed to have. And when I
Right.
say you're supposed to have, meaning if you're a team that really wants to achieve the things that they set out for at the beginning of the season, which would be to contend for the division, but also to contend for a wild card spot. Games like the Carolina Panthers, a team that was struggling early on when they beat the Atlanta Falcons, that kind of jump started them a little bit. But
Right.
also, you're supposed to beat a team like the Miami Dolphins, another team that's struggling as well. And you have to take those games when you can get them. So unfortunately, they didn't come away with those, and now they're in a position to, like you said before, they be hopeful to split in this next half of the season. But still, it'll be tough to get into the wild card with that. But moving back up to New York, Jets and Bengals. Brees Hall had a phenomenal game, man. Jets get their first win of the season, man. I know they've kind of been the talk around town with possibly quarterback changing. Tyrod Taylor got hurt. Aaron Glenn not really exposing or not exposing, but not really saying who the starter was going to be. And I also heard Brees Hall speak. He said when Garrett Wilson went out, he went up to the OC, very professionally and respectfully. He said, listen, man, I need them carries. I need them touches. I've also heard him speak in terms of when you're a young player in the league, you want to create as much value for yourself as you can because at the end of the day, man, everybody is trying to get paid as well. So for him, I know going into this year, I believe this would be probably coming into his contract year or his contract year. So he really wants to put some good plays together. And he may be a guy also around the trade deadline for any team that's looking to improve the running back position. Possibly the Chiefs might be in the mix in that position. There are a couple other teams who may be running back needy. So I think he's starting to, maybe catch his stride or pick up, a little bit around this time. And switching gears to the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe
I want
Flacco
to say
couldn't
I
get it
want.
done this week.
I, wa- no, I know. Hold on, though. I want to say one more thing about them, though. The Jets. Shout out to Justin Fields. Like he's a quarterback that's been taking a lot of heat. I mean, even from ownership.
Yeah.
And when ownership when ownership starts to talk, and he kind of fired back and stuff like that. And so he showed a lot of vulnerability on the podium at the post at the post game press conference. And my thing with that is this. I love it because it shows that we're human, right? Like we read the things you say, we feel it, we feel the pressure, we want to do great, even though it's not the product isn't coming to fruition, but we want to be great and it's not there and we're getting heat and he's the quarterback. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. The 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 stats for wins and losses only ride with two people, the head coach and the quarterback. And so just shout out to him for his vulnerability.
I'm a little bit different in that
I'm
sense.
sure you are.
I mean I don't really think the podium is a time to express your vulnerability. I think those things happen behind closed doors.
True.
And I say that because for me, the same way that you say that wins and losses fall on the head coach and quarterback, those two guys are also typically some of the higher paid people within the organization. And I say
Right.
that to because to whom much is given, much is tested and
True.
expected.
And expected. Wow.
And
Yeah.
I say that because the same way after a loss, and I understand that, but now when we make wins about ourselves and our vulnerability and what we're going through, everybody is going through that.
Yeah.
When you're a 0-16, 0-17, everybody is going through that. Everybody, when they come home, we've already said in this show, losing is depressing for everyone. We all
Right.
coming home. Food don't taste as good. Body is a little bit sore. Your kids might be a little bit more annoying, whatever it may be, but we're all in that same boat. And I say that because to me, and this is me personally, man, this is a gladiator sport. We have on helmets and face masks and stuff for a reason. And when you put that mask on and you go into character, that's who you're supposed to be. And the vulnerability, keep that behind closed doors. And that's how I look at it, because you can only bring so much into the workplace.
Right.
And once we start bringing vulnerability into the workplace, it's a slippery slope. But again, man, shout out to the Jets. They got their first win. I know that's probably a weight lifted off of them. I know when I was in Jacksonville, I believe we were 0-6 before we beat the Cleveland Browns, and getting that first win, man, it felt good. Because when you're in that situation, 0-6, you like, dang, man, like is this ever gonna happen? Things just seem to not go your way sometimes late in
Right.
those ball games. But let's move on to the next segment. We got some good topics for today. Fantasy or reality. First up, is it time for Shador Sanders in Cleveland? Fantasy or reality?
Listen, it's been time.
It's been
It's
time.
been time. What we doing? And that's the thing. No disrespect to DG Dylan Gabriel, but if we're not seeing something crazy, why not then? Because we already like, and it's gonna it's gonna be bad if Shador. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if a team has their second stringers. It no matter if Shador comes in and balls out, they're gonna be asking why the heck that time took so long. So so I think I think it's time. Why not?
Perfect timing, huh?
Perfect time, and yeah.
um, and I said that because I do think that, I mean, Kevin Stefanski said that that's not on his immediate agenda or radar. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel was his pick at the quarterback position, so he still wants to give him some time to develop and time to learn. And obviously, as we know that the draft and being in the NFL is not all about where you start, more so about where you finish. But the leash is always a little bit longer when you're drafted ahead of someone, as far as the time that you get to be able to show the staff and show the front office what you can do, the time that you get to be able to grow through some of the mistakes that you may make. So with Dylan Gabriel being a third round draft pick, um, I mean, but this is kind of what we expected, though, man. We knew it wasn't going to be. Uh, there was no perfect way to go about this quarterback situation. It was either going to be a situation where Dylan Gabriel played extremely well, and nobody said anything except for Shador may get another opportunity elsewhere, or we're seeing what we see now. They trade away Joe Flacco or sit him on the bench, whichever came first. They sat him, then traded him. Now Dylan Gabriel has been in. The offense has been stagnant at best. They're losing. So, of course, people are going to continue to ask for Shador Sanders and see what he has. I mean, they may as well just kind of let him split it and just kind of go game for game. I mean, at the end of the day, because I mean, I don't know if their future quarterback right now is on their roster. And I say that because I don't know how much they're invested in Deshaun Watson moving forward. Obviously, he signed a big contract, and he's, when he's been healthy, he's played extremely well and stuff like that. But he's coming off of an injury. But as far as where they're at right now, I think they should just let them compete it out. I mean, may as well, kind of see what they got. Go game for game. I'm very curious to see how they go about the second half of the season at that quarterback position. Moving on, fantasy or reality. Jordan Love could lead the Packers to the Super Bowl.
That's reality. That's reality. The Packers are a team also that's playing great football. Football. They have great, consistent play. They beat a great Steelers team. I think the Steelers are a playoff team. They beat a great Steelers team. A little reunion between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And Jordan Love just looks great, man. He just throws so good, makes great decisions. One thing I like about him is that if a series doesn't go his way, I just feel like there's a lot of correction. There's a lot of debrief that's being done from that series to the next series, and then they just look even more sharp the next series. So I'm buying that stock a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, and now based on just the offseason with them drafting Golden from Texas at the receiver position, I think they have a lot of speed and they have a lot of weapons. Josh Jacobs a couple weeks ago was nursing a calf injury, but as he starts to get healthy, man, with the receivers that they have, with Josh Jacobs in the backfield, with Kraft at tight end, he had a phenomenal game, man. Put the secondary uh of the Steelers on their heels. And Jordan Love there found a great rhythm around third quarter or so and just kind of started to roll. Obviously, they invested a lot on defense with Micah Parsons. And again, and we saw them and what they did when they played against Detroit earlier in the year. So they definitely have the potential to be able to play in big games and win big games. And what I think they have going for them is Jordan Love has been there before. Me being in Detroit last year, being a part of that division, seeing how the division came down to the wire. Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, all those guys have played over the last 16 or so months, have played in a lot of meaningful big time games. So I think they have that experience, even with having one of the younger rosters in the NFL. I think they have that experience. And like I said before, and when you have a game wrecker or a game changer with Micah Parsons now on the other side of the football, you do know that you have somebody who can go out and make a play on the other side of the ball, whether that be a strip sack, whether that be a punch out, whatever it may be, you know that you have that on the other side of the ball. So I think the NFC, man, is going to be. I'm very curious to see how it shakes out towards the end of the season. I think they have a few contenders. And when I say a few contenders, that a little bit different than some other circumstances and situations, they have a few teams who truly believe that they'll be able to get to the Super Bowl as long as they stay healthy. When you think about the Green Bay Packers, you think about the Detroit Lions, you think about the Philadelphia Eagles, the Rams come to mind, the Seattle Seahawks are playing well right now. Their defense is playing lights out. So I think the NFC right now, man, there are a lot of heavy hitters who have their eyes on the prize as far as winning the other division and really positioning themselves to be the top position in the AFC. Moving on, fantasy or reality. This is a bigger game for the Buffalo Bills than the Chiefs.
Ah, that's a tough one. I think it's a big game for both of them. I mean, the Chiefs, like I said, they're hitting their stride, and we're getting to that time of year where um, these games are starting to mean a lot more. And so, to be honest, I think it's a big game for both of them. So I think it's a reality for both of them.
I agree. And I think it's a little bit bigger game for the Chiefs. And I think it's a little bit bigger game for the Chiefs because I think with them kind of starting out slow and Buffalo kind of starting out hot a little bit and winning some big games, Buffalo beat the Ravens, came back in pretty dramatic fashion to win that game. I think the Chiefs starting out a little bit slow, not having Rasheed Rice. Everybody questioned their run game and how many yards they were getting per carry. And if Patrick Mahomes could continue to put them on their back, people were saying Travis Kelce looked old. Is the dynasty not done, but that the Kansas City Chiefs weren't the Kansas City Chiefs of old. That was the narrative early in the season, for a few weeks there. So now with them being able to get Rasheed Rice back, he's playing well. You can see the camaraderie around that team building. I think this is a statement game for the Chiefs to say to everybody that we are who y'all thought we were, and we are who we think we are. I think this
But
will be a big game.
but the Patriots are the number one. I think that they're number one in their division right now, and so I think if the Bills don't if the Bills don't win it, I think that keeps pushing them back, and
Yeah, I
so
mean, definitely pushes them back and open up the door a little bit more for the New England Patriots. So don't get me wrong. I think it's a big game, but I say that because I think in years past, Kansas City Chiefs didn't really have too many games that I don't want to say that they starred during the regular season, but it was more so we'll win that game when it matters. Rather than right now, I think the Chiefs are the team that's in a little bit different of a mode. I think that this game for them, even based on their division with the Broncos and Chargers, and these are two teams who are typically at the top of their division each and every year, who are now fighting to be at the top. But like I said before, I think based on the narrative and what was kind of happening earlier in the season, I think the Chiefs are going to use this game to really kind of propel them and bolster them forward into the driver's seat, into the AFC, to let everybody know that we're the same team. We are who y'all thought we have been over the past few years, and that we're a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl.
very true, yeah, and especially the AFC, that AFC division. I mean, the Raiders are, but you got the Broncos and Chargers on your heels. Who the Broncos have been they've been knocking,
They
and
have, they have, and they've been winning games late. Very,
yes,
very, very Kansas City
yes,
esque.
yeah,
Very
yeah, yeah,
Kansas City esque. I mean,
and
when
so
you think about it, just last year, when I think about the Broncos Giants game and how the Broncos won that game, I want to say maybe a year ago, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Broncos with a blocked field goal
yeah,
at the end of regulation. So you kind of see the Broncos finding ways to win games, and even games that the other team may have played better than them in.
yeah,
When it comes down to seeding and positioning with the different divisions, as we know, you got to win some games that you may necessarily not have been supposed to win. You got to figure out a way to win those. And I think the Broncos are doing that. And I think the Chiefs are trying to, dig their feet in and get back into the mix of being in the driver's seat of that division. Next up, fantasy or reality. First, I'll say this player has been playing lights out this year. And we kind of talked about it earlier in the season. I mean, earlier in the show, excuse me. But fantasy or reality, Jonathan Taylor is MVP worthy this season.
yeah, without a doubt, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's it's kind of tough because Daniel Jones is playing great on his team, and like you said, it's quarterback driven league. So sometimes the quarterback may get that nod, but yes, dude, the numbers he's putting up, the touchdowns he's putting up. I mean, I got to look at the numbers, but it could be Saquon type season from last year, and he's on a winning team. I think best team in the NFL right now,
Yeah.
record wise, yes. So yeah,
And this
definitely
kind of sparks a,
reality.
a, a little bit bigger of a debate. Is the MVP a quarterback award?
No, it's most valuable. It's most valuable player. There's been years where there has been a year. I think LT is he the only defensive player to ever have won the
I believe
MVP.
so.
We got to look that up. No, it's just, but it's going to be harder for a defensive player to win that. You're going to have to do something crazy.
What do you think it takes for Jonathan Taylor to win that award? Give me a stat line at the end of
2000.
at the end of the season. This is before playoffs. Give me for Jonathan Taylor. Paint me a picture of for Jonathan Taylor to win MVP. What does that look like for the Colts, for himself? Like, just kind of break it down for me a little bit in a world where Jonathan Taylor wins MVP.
Yeah, 100%. So for sure, um, 2,000 yards plus, and um, whatever, 12 plus touchdowns. Yeah,
And the Colts would probably be a number one seed, I would
number one
imagine.
seed. Yeah, number one seed. And then, but also, and I mean, I hate that I have to say this, but Daniel Jones has to not have numbers either, because Daniel Jones might win. Um, I don't know if they do most improved, but
Yeah,
uh,
no, they
they
do. They
do.
do.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
they do.
Daniel Jones might be most improved,
Comeback player, I believe it's
comeback
called.
player, all that. Yeah, I mean, he's
I mean, he would be the candidate for it now. You know what I mean? Again, Shane Steichen, the coach for the Indianapolis Colts, man, and Chris Ballard, their GM, they have done a great job of putting weapons around Daniel Jones and also having that team positioned for when the right person under center comes to take over, that they're being able to be in the situation that they're in right now, which is being able to capitalize on the run game, activate some of that intermediate passing between the safeties and the linebackers. So, I mean, both of them are playing lights out, man. I'm very curious to see if they keep that up. They have a big game this week in Pittsburgh. It'll probably be a playoff like atmosphere. It's a AFC matchup, man. These games are sometimes kind of worth like a game and a half, because I mean, obviously they have the head-to-head matchup if it would ever come down to wild card standings or wild card positioning, but this is a big week for the Colts. So I'm very curious to see what kind of game Jonathan Taylor and also Daniel Jones have this year. Because, like I said before, man, this is one of those games that will be very playoff esque, especially this time of year, man. We're getting to November football, which is very meaningful games. You play at the beginning of the year, you go through training camp and all those things to be in a situation and to be in a position where you're playing meaningful games in November. Now let's move on to some hot topics for you. Coming down to these two teams, if you had to choose one, Vegas, let's say you in Vegas, you feeling good, you want to put some money on one of these teams to make the playoffs, Cowboys or Ravens? Who are you
Cowboys,
rolling with?
Cowboys.
Really?
Yeah, dude, Cowboys should have a better record right
They do.
now.
They do.
And I loved. Listen, if Dak was on a better team, every I think Dak would also be in the MVP race. And so
Even with Lamar Jackson coming back,
yeah, but you,
um,
I
they
don't.
play. I want to say Ravens still play the Bengals twice, I believe. The Browns once, Steelers twice. Even though the Steelers have kind of dominated that matchup a little bit as of recently, I think the Ravens still have a lot in front of them, and I think the Ravens kind of caught the injury bug early on in the year,
Yep.
and now they're kind of on the other side of it, as opposed to the Dallas Cowboys just seem to be lacking not a little bit, a lot of bit on defense. And it's put a lot of pressure on the offense. Even though we've seen Dak's numbers and how he's performing, CeeDee Lamb is doing his thing. I believe going into last week, George Pickens led the league in touchdowns or was up there for league leading in touchdowns. So offensively, man, they're playing about as good as they could play. So it's like, for me, where did they go from here? It's not one of those situations where you have Lamar Jackson out, you have Marlon Humphreys out, you have Roquan Smith out, you have all these guys out and banged up because of injury. It's just the lack of ability that they have on defense to be able to make plays. So you're rocking with the Cowboys. I would have to rock with the Ravens. Next up,
I'm assuming Mad Max is getting traded next week. So
you
we'll
think
see.
so?
I don't
Where
know.
would you
We'll see.
predict? Where would you predict? And Mad Max meaning Max Crosby?
Yes, yeah. I'm Cowboys. Yeah,
To the
to the
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Yeah. So that takes them over the edge.
Okay,
That solves
okay.
the
A
defense
little, a
problem.
little, a little trade deadline preview and prediction from Prince. So now I'll move on to the next one. Are the Commanders in too deep of a hole to get out?
Yes, dude. You get your quarterback. Come on, you get injured, come back, get injured again. And that's your future. I think, yeah, I think you're.
And I mean, people can say what they want record wise, but right now at the moment, man, I mean that division is a competitive division. I mean,
Right.
granted, the Giants, they're what 2-6 right now,
Yes.
but nobody wants to play them, man. I mean, Jackson Dart, he's putting the fear of God in people, man, especially D coordinators. I mean, we saw again some of the games that he's had. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to win, but we saw the kind of game he had against the Broncos. We saw how he played against Philly the first time. So when you think about a beat up Commanders team, when they have the Cowboys in their division, the Giants in their division, and also the Philadelphia Eagles in their division, it will be they're going to have a tough time getting themselves out of that hole. So I'm going to have to say no as well. Next up on the list, is this a must-win week for the Pittsburgh Steelers? We spoke earlier in the show about this being a playoff-like atmosphere. They're coming off a loss against the Green Bay Packers, where the Green Bay Packers looked pretty dominant. The Steelers also have been a team that we've heard a lot about, around the trade deadline and trying to maybe acquire players on both sides of the ball. They just acquired a safety in Kyle Duggar. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, from the New England Patriots. But also they may be in the mix for a receiver. I want to say um, a Marquez Valdez Scantling worked out for them earlier in the week. So they're
And that's
trying
that
to.
Aaron Rodgers Green Bay connection, obviously.
Exactly. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay connection. So they're trying to improve their roster. Again, this is an AFC matchup. How we spoke, we already said it's a big game for the Colts, but I think it's just as big of game, if not bigger, for the Steelers. I mean, again, you got Lamar Jackson back. You play the Ravens twice. He's going to be literally knocking on your door, if not trying to kick it down, as far as getting back in the mix in the division. I think this is a very big game because the time for them to be able to really take a demanding lead in the division, I don't want to say it's over, but Lamar Jackson is back. So that the Ravens are going to win more games down the stretch here. So I think it's a huge game for them in Pittsburgh.
Lamar Jackson is active, meaning he's going to suit up. We don't know. I'm back. When you say back, you make it seem like he's 100%. He's ready to go. I mean, he's coming off a hamstring injury.
Listen,
I gotta see. You gotta show me. I gotta see what he
he
can do. You gotta
he's
show me.
he said he's 100%.
Oh, he
I'm gonna
did.
take. Yes, he did. He said he's 100%. I'm gonna take the former two-time MVP at
I
his
love it.
word.
I got you.
Um, Again, I think that they were very cautious with this injury. I forget what date he injured it, but I did some math, and a guy who's had a hammy before with myself,
Me too.
I I think we're gonna see the best of Lamar Jackson, man. I think he's healed. He's taking his time. So we'll see. But I mean, again, he's on the field, so they're gonna be knocking at the door. And
Right.
also, not just him, but the rest of the players on that Raven team is also healthy as well. Last up on the hot topic list, are the Denver Broncos a top 5 team in the NFL right now?
Let's see. We have Colts. We have Green Bay. We have Colts. We have Green Bay. We have Chiefs. We have Bills. We have Patriots. No. We have Bucks. We have Eagles. No. No.
Are they knocking on the door?
Yes, they are. They
Is
are.
there anything? Because again, I've also heard them in the mix being for a player who maybe can stretch the field. Some of the Saints receivers' name have been swirling around. Does a trade boost them up to that, or is this just a year where they won't be a top 5 team until playoff time, and we see them maybe upset a team or two to kind of put themselves in the mix of being top 5?
Yeah. This isn't going to be the year where they're going to be top five. There's too many great teams. Too many consistent teams. I mean, like I
They're a
said, you
six
still
and two team, I believe.
yeah, but it's you still gotta. It's how you became 6-2. Like I said, you still have to be. Um, you still have to put not. You still have to put Bills, Patriots, Eagles, Packers, Chiefs.
Lions.
Lions, Tampa. Like I still, I mean, Tampa and Broncos are pretty similar, especially what C.J. Stroud and them did to the Bucks. Even though the Bucks are not healthy right now, but that's the thing. I hate using the healthy stuff. Find a way to win. I'm not using that. That's what happens, and that's why that there's free agency and you have developing players. It's a next man up mentality. You find a way. You find a way to win. Quarterback is different, but all the other stuff, whether it's receiver, tight end, DB, whatever,
You
find a
said you're
way.
not going, huh?
No, you got to find a way.
I feel that. So that was last up on the hot topics list, and this week it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna have two versions of picks this week. Obviously, y'all just heard Prince hit last week. We're gonna get his list up for you guys so that you can see the bets that he placed last weekend. But this week for my guaranteed picks, I'm taking the Lions over the Vikings,
Okay.
Chargers over Tennessee,
Okay.
Rams over the Saints, and
Okay.
Seahawks over the Commanders.
Those are
Also
safe.
one
I
that
like
I
those.
also one that I did not add on the list was the Baltimore Ravens over the Miami Dolphins,
Mm.
and I'm also taking Derrick Henry with a anytime touchdown as well. And I'm gonna build my parlay around that. Like I said before, that's the way that I like to do it. You can add some other bets here. NBA season is popping. Last week I threw the Golden State Warriors in mine and they won opening week. So, there's a few different ways that you can go about using our guaranteed picks of the week to build you a nice little parlay to win some money when it comes Monday or Tuesday. And now we're going to get to Prince's picks. And I'm going to let him take it away and just kind of let y'all know how he likes to work his magic when it comes to the betting pool.
Yeah. So I'm a big parlay guy. Princess Parlay, Princess Lottery tickets. And so I don't have them out now because the NFL hasn't put them out. But I'm a big prop guy. Like I said, meaning a running back to get over 30 yards, receiver to catch over this many yards, and a quarterback to pass for this many yards. And then I'll mix them in with some tennis, some college, and I see where it falls out. I'm looking for odds like plus 50,000 or plus 100,000. Like those
And
are the type of
listen, the man made five, a
no,
nice little five-figure
no,
payday.
yeah, I did, yeah,
A nice
five
little
figure payday,
five-figure payday
yeah, yeah,
last week. I mean,
right.
listen, the man got paid, so y'all might want to listen up. So you got my picks, you got Prince's picks. Again, like you said before, man, you can put them together. You can take players, yardage, overs, unders, different prop bets, have some fun with it, and win some money at the end of the week. So now we're heading toward the end of the show. Next week, we will be in the studio. We will be having a special guest for the next two shows. Actually, so tune in to see who those people will be. If you play any of our bets, find us on Instagram, comment, tag us in the stories, let us know what you're playing, like, subscribe on YouTube, like in the comments. Again, tell us some of the picks that you guys are playing. If there's any questions that you have, drop them as well, and we'll get those answered. This is the press release, and that's episode 9.
We out.